Hello, my name is Shaman Stanley, and I'm going to be presenting Jamestown for my assignment. Jamestown was one of the first early settlements in North America, and its story started all the way back in June of 1606 when King James granted a charter to a group of London entrepreneurs known as the Virginian Company and allowed them to establish an English settlement in the Chesapeake region of North America. And so they gathered some settlers and they set sail. And on May 14th, 1607, they finally arrived at what we now know as Jamestown, which is about 60 miles from the mouth of the Chesapeake Bay. There are some traditional stories about Jamestown about how they're unprepared, but that's actually not the case. There's many skilled artisans and craftsmen and laborers who were led by a great captain, Bartholomew Gosnold, and they were well prepared for their situation, although the Americas were quite harsh, so a lot of them did die. But let's take a look at the map of Jamestown. While I can't go into detail of every location, I did want to highlight a few important ones. Firstly, there is the Palisades, which is a wall, which is location number one, and it was like a wall built around Jamestown. It was essentially just wooden logs taken from the region, and they would dig a trench and stick them upright into the ground, and it would protect them around from any animals or Indians around. Um, Next thing I wanted to show you was the burial grounds. While they were well prepared, a lot of them did die, especially in the first year. And so this is one of the burial grounds that they have in Jamestown. It's believed that there was about 29 people who died within the first year, and they were buried here. The next thing I wanted to show you is the soldier pit, which is location 9 right here. And basically, the soldier pit was just a hole in the ground. There wasn't really much to it. It's what the settlers lived in when they first arrived at Jamestown. They didn't have any protection from the elements, so they just dug into the ground and lived there until they could, further build their settlement and create actual living quarters. Um, and their living quarters were believed to be located at this location 21. But more importantly, right next to it is location 21, or 22, 23, and 24, which are basically all churches. And they constructed them, and over time, they fell apart, and they constructed new ones on top of that. And so these churches are important because they held the first General Assembly, which is what we're going to be talking about next. The first General Assembly was super important in creating our democracy that we now know today. And the reason for it is because it used a representative democracy, which we role modeled for the United States for today. It consisted of a governor, four councilors, and 22 burgesses, which were chosen by free white and male inhabitants of every town in that region. And the settlers were able to participate in their government through them. Um, the first General Assembly met in these churches that were built in 1617, and but later on they moved down to the State House. Once they started expanding and they built the State House, they moved over there. Um, the General Assembly is super important because, like I said, it is our first representative democracy we have in the United States, and it started in July 30th, 1619, and it has been still going until present day. Um, Granted, there has been many modifications to the General Assembly through the United States government. Um, However, this is all that I have time for Jamestown. All my resources on Jamestown were all found at the historical Jamestown website. This is their official website um, and archaeology site, and all information came from this site. Thank you for listening to me, and I hope you enjoyed my presentation.